One of the things I learned that to have the massive transformational success that I had to adopt a high sense of personal responsibility. In other words, I live by a very simple acronym, CPA. I cause, permit, or allow everything in my life to happen. I never blame other people. I never blame other circumstances. I look at the situation and I try to figure out what can I do to make the situation better. Personal responsibility sometimes can be an absolute bear, especially when it's going to cost us money, time, energy. You have to be willing to commit to personal responsibility even when it's hard. A couple of years ago, I was out checking my mail and I had a bunch of subpoenas from the federal government for my banking records and publishing contracts, etc. And at first I kind of went into a panic. Why is the government looking into my financial situation? Now, going back 20 years ago on my federal crimes, there was a big restitution order, over $1 million. And there were about 15 people who were responsible to pay back that $1 million. Well, I called the Department of Justice, and I had paid about $150,000 of it up to that point over the 15 years or so that I've been out. So I assumed everybody was paying a bunch of money, and the thing was probably, just about paid off. So I called the U.S. Attorney out in Las Vegas, and I asked about the situation. He said, hey, you're the only one in 15 years who's been paying on this restitution. No one else has had any money. We haven't been able to find people. Nobody's paying, whatever. And so the 150 grand that you paid is the only 150 grand that's been paid, right? So there's another 850 grand that's still owed, and it's what's called a joint and several liability, which means they can go after any one person for the whole amount. It doesn't have to be, even Stevens. So they had learned I was doing quite well, and they made it very obvious they expected me to pay more. So I worked out an agreement with the feds to pay them a percentage of my income for a number of years to get it paid off, but I had to agree up front to write them a check for $100,000 as a token of my goodwill, as a token of my good faith that I was going to pay this restitution. So I agreed to do it, and I had to sit down and write a check for $100,000. We took a quick video of it just to kind of video the whole experience of writing out a check $100 grand. I remember I was talking to my brother, and I said, I just had to write the feds a check for $100 grand. It hurts to the core, right? And he says, hey, look at the bright side. You're in a situation that you can afford to pay the feds $100 grand, right? So that was kind of the upside of the whole thing. The bottom line is I wrote the check, and I sent it off to him because it was the right thing to do. Yes, it hurt, but the reality is it was part of the wreckage of my past. And if I'm truly going to be responsible, if I'm truly going to have character and integrity, I have to repay the debt, even when it's difficult. I can't be mad that the other people didn't pay. That's not my business. I can't control that. I have to look at what I can do, and I'm in a position that I can pay a disproportionate amount of that restitution. And so I bit the bullet, and I wrote the check. And then I pay a huge percentage of my income every month to the feds. At the end of the day, that's what personal responsibility is all about. You got to do the right thing, even when it's hard. Don't blame other people. Don't blame other situations. Take responsibility and get the job done.